Historical Center in Cuiabá, and it's amazing. We're in this barber shop. What a beautiful building. Really nice man to let us in and look around. My first impression is that it's fantastic that you still have this center. It hasn't been leveled or demolished, it's still here. But my second impression is actually sadness that it's so neglected. This is a beautiful, beautiful part of the city. It's got a real pedestrian, intimate scale. The streets are narrow, they curve, they open into little squares. It has huge potential to be a touristic, a social center, an arts center. So I really think this needs to be renewed, become a special tax haven maybe, and become a center of renewal in the city. But also the individual buildings. It's a shame to see so many of them neglected. And some of them are being repaired very badly. We're seeing examples of cement being put onto adobe walls, and those materials don't go. Cement is a very, very hygroscopic closed material, and it doesn't work well with earth. It needs to be lime. So there needs to be an education about how to restore these buildings. But also environmentally, these buildings have something to tell us. They've come from Spanish, Portuguese, Mediterranean climates. Maybe not as hot as this, but certainly in Mediterranean Europe, there's temperatures 38, 40, 42 degrees. So they experience very high temperature. And here, these buildings may have a solution to help us to make buildings more comfortable without energy. One of the most significant things about them is the construction width of the walls. The walls are nearly half a meter, 400, 500 millimeters thick. They're this type of thickness. Very thick wall constructions, and they're made with adobe, rammed earth. And earth has a very high specific heat capacity. It's very good at storing heat. So these walls are thermal storage walls. And maybe there's a clue there as to why these buildings are comfortable. And also they have a particular ventilation strategy where they have grills on the front of the windows, nice big high windows, and the roofs are not so airtight. So there's some airflow through these buildings. So I would love to see these buildings studied. Maybe a research project with some students to assess these buildings, a modern house and a modern apartment, and compare the comfort and the environmental conditions, temperature, surface radiation temperature, wind speed, things like that, and see how they perform. So this center is really, really important architecturally, from an urban perspective, from a social perspective, and from an environmental perspective. And I'd really encourage the students, the lecturers, the architectural community in Cuiabá to take a much more special interest in this area and to really learn from it and also rejuvenate it to its original and enjoy it. This is a place that could be really enjoyed. No cars. Cars should be banned from here. This should become a pedestrian zone. Artisan shops, crafts, pubs, information centres, a social hub in the community, a place of education. It has so much potential if the politicians and the community could only see. Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Patrick.
And thank you, my friend, the barber.
Obrigado, ele está te agradecendo.
Muito obrigado.
Muito obrigado. Ok.